All right. Well, here we are. We're back. This time we're going to look at external styles, or using external style sheets to affect our page. And actually, when I say page, when I talk about external styles, I really should say pages, because the really beauty of an external style sheet is you can use it to affect multiple pages. So as we look, we're kind of scaling up as we've gone along. We looked at an inline style and saw how that can affect a particular line of code to affect the style or the way it looks. And then we looked at embedded styles, and we looked at how that can affect the styles on a given page. Well, in this case, as we look at external style sheets, we're going to see how they can affect not only a given page, but a set of pages, or maybe all the pages within your website. So what I've done here, so when I look at this example and I can demonstrate how this works, I've actually created a duplicate of the page we've been using. So I've got sample 2, and you can see the only thing that really lets you know it's changing is the file name changes here to sample 2, and in the title it's sample page 2. So these pages are actually identical, but I wanted to have both pages available so you could see when we apply our style sheet to both of these pages that it can be used across several pages just as an illustration. So here we go. Let's go take a look at the code for this page. All right. Here we are looking at the code for this page. The one thing I've added since we left were a couple HTML basically comments. And the comments don't render in the HTML, but when you're working on the code, that might give you an idea. So here I made a comment. This is where our embedded style is. And here I also made a comment where we used our inline style in previous examples. So if we want to get started using an external style sheet, what we need to do first is we need to kind of link to that style sheet. So, once again, an external style sheet is also going to start in the head section of our page. Alright, so here we're going to use the link element, or the link tag. So in this case we're going to say link. We're going to say type equals text slash CSS. Relative, or rel, equals style sheet. These are just indicators to different readers what this actual link is going to. Just identifying it as us linking to a style sheet, because there's other things you could specify here. And lastly, and the most important attribute that we'll use is basically the href attribute, which should be familiar from our A tags creating links. In this case, we're going to say href equals, and then we have to specify the file name of the style sheet that we're going to use. Now we haven't created a CSS file yet, but if we know what we're going to call it, if we know what we're going to use for the file name, that's fine. So I'm going to call this sample.css. So make sure we close that out, and because this is a tag that doesn't have a closing tag, it's a self-closing tag or self-contained tag, make sure you put the slash here and we'll close the tag out. So looking at this, we specified this link tag with the type and the style sheet, and most importantly, we link to the style sheet that we're going to create. This is an external style sheet. It's a document that's another document lives outside of this web page. All right, so now that we've created that, what we need to do is we need to create a style sheet. So I'm going to say new. And this is what we'll call our style sheet here. I'm going to actually save this right away. And remember, we called it sample.css. Okay, so now I have a sample.css file. And I'm going to switch back quickly to our page that we're looking at. And what I want to target maybe in this external style sheet are these heading style 2s. We've got 2 of them here. And we can affect both of them on this page and across multiple pages. So for me to target the H2, I'm just going to use the H2 tag name, then I follow it with a brace. And what we're going to do with these heading style 2s is let's change something about them. Let's change their let's change the line height of these. Line height. Now this is like making something double spaced or triple spaced, so I'm going to say something that's going to be very noticeable. I'm going to say 400%. Okay, and at the end of changing that property, once again we've got our semicolon. So we got the property that we want to change, line height, colon, the value for that property, 400%, and then a semicolon. And we're also going to change something else. Let's also change maybe, let's go back and change our font to these as well. Font family. And let's make these fonts, maybe let's make this Georgia. So font family, colon, whatever we're specifying it as, in this case Georgia. And then let's also change the font style. And in this case, let's make the font style. So font style is the property, colon, and then we're going to say font style italic. And then end that with a semicolon. And then we have to surround this, all the properties that we want to change, with the closing brace. So there, in this case we've created a external CSS file. In this case we've named it sample.css. And we're targeting or selecting the H2 tags, and then we're going to change the line height, font family, and the font style. I'm going to save that page and go back to our sample HTML. So here's where we linked to that external style sheet. If I go back to our browser and refresh this page, you'll see definitely my heading styles changed. They now are italic, they've got more space around them because of the line height, and we also changed the font, so now they're in Georgia. Okay, that's great. Now if we notice, we go to our page 2 that I created and hit refresh, nothing changed. And the reason nothing changed there is because we didn't put this link tag in that page. So I'm going to copy this link tag, paste it up here in the head section of my page, save this. This is my sample 2 page. And now I've got both these pages using that external style sheet. Now if I hit refresh here, you can see that this page also uses those same styles. So I switch between the two pages and you can see that they're both being affected by that same style sheet. Let's take a look here. Let me go back now. Look at our style sheet that we created, and I'm going to go change something here. I'm going to change the font family to Arial, and I'm going to change the line height to 200. If I save this style sheet now, it should affect both of those pages that are linked to it. So if I hit refresh on my sample 1 or sample page, yes, it changed. If I go to my sample 2 page that also uses the same style sheet, I refresh that, you can see that that also changed. So an external style sheet is really powerful that it can affect multiple pages. So there we go. There's an example of using an external style sheet. And next we'll be looking at some other pieces using styles, such as using classes and IDs.